Can you imagine how a single spark can set the world aflame, shifting the tides of history forever? Fasten your seatbelts, ladies and gentlemen, as we are about to embark on a journey to one such extraordinary event. The year was 1914, an era teetering on the verge of monumental political upheavals. Nestled in the Balkans, undercurrents of unease were brewing, ready to erupt with a bang. Tale transports us to Sarajevo, a city cocooned amidst the mountains, a city on the precipice of becoming the erupting volcano of a historical upheaval. Enter the scene Archduke Franz Ferdinand of Austria-Hungary, a man soon to be etched into the indelible pages of history. He was there to tour the recently seized territories, a move that sent ripples of discontent among the Serbian nationalists. Now let's sprinkle our story with a pinch of suspense. A group of young Bosnian Serbs, the Black Hand, were stirring up a storm. These weren't your run-of-the-mill college kids, far from it. They were scheming something far darker. Aided by Serbian officers, they were armed to their teeth, poised to make a statement that would reverberate across the globe. June 28th, a day that dawned like any other, but soon veered off into the path of destiny. 7 assassins lined the route of Ferdinand's procession, their hearts pulsating with lethal resolve. One of them even hurled a bomb, but fortune smiled upon the Archduke, at least for the time being. So here we are, a city at the precipice of history, a band of conspirators, and a man unsuspectingly stepping into the annals of history. The pieces were set, the players primed, and the stage was perfectly arranged for a day that promised to rock the world to its core. June 28, 1914, a day that started as any other, but would end up going down in the annals of history. On this day, Archduke Franz Ferdinand of Austria, along with his wife Sophie, were in Sarajevo to inspect Austria-Hungary's newly acquired territories. This visit, however, had stirred the hornet's nest of Serbian nationalism, sparking the ire of a group of young Bosnian Serb students known ominously as the Black Hand. As Ferdinand's motorcade made its way through the streets of Sarajevo, 7 assassins lay in wait, their hearts pounding with anticipation and their hands clasping weapons gifted by Serbian officers. The first attempt on Ferdinand's life came in the form of a thrown bomb, which, in a twist of irony, missed its mark, allowing the Archduke and his wife to continue their journey unscathed. After a brief stop at Sarajevo's town hall, fate played its cruel hand. A wrong turn taken by the drivers of the motorcade led the royal couple straight into the path of the waiting assassin, Gavrilo Princip. As the car halted to correct its route, Princip seized the moment. He stepped forward, a mere few feet away from his targets, and fired his gun. The shots rang out, echoing through the streets of Sarajevo, striking Ferdinand and Sophie, and within moments the couple lay lifeless in their open car. The time was around 10:45 in the morning. A beautiful summer day had turned into a nightmare. The Archduke of Austria and his wife were dead, assassinated by a 19-year-old boy. The echoes of those gunshots would reverberate far beyond the borders of Sarajevo, setting in motion a series of events that would forever change the world. A local conflict was about to erupt into a global catastrophe, and a world at peace was on the brink of war. And in that moment, the world held its breath. In the wake of such a tragic event, the world was left to pick up the pieces. The assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand and his wife Sophie was a seismic shock that reverberated across the globe. Austria-Hungary, understandably, was in a state of profound grief and outrage. The finger of blame was pointed unerringly at Serbia. The Austrian-Hungarian Empire, deeply aggrieved and thirsting for justice, accused Serbia of orchestrating the dastardly act. They believed that the Serbian government was behind the Black Hand, the radical group whose member, Gavrilo Princip, had committed the heinous act. And so the wheels of diplomacy, or perhaps more accurately, the machinery of war, began to turn. Austria-Hungary, with Germany whispering in its ear, sent a list of demands to Serbia. These demands, known to history as the July Ultimatum, were designed to be so draconian that Serbia could not possibly accept them all. The ultimatum was a potpourri of 10 commands that essentially sought to strip Serbia of its sovereignty. Among these were demands for Serbia to suppress all anti-Austrian propaganda and to allow Austria-Hungary to participate in the judicial proceedings against those implicated in the assassination plot. Serbia, caught in a vice-like grip, agreed to most of these demands. It was a desperate attempt to avert a war, but it was not enough. Austria-Hungary, perhaps motivated more by a desire for retribution than for justice, was not satisfied. Despite Serbia's compliance, Austria-Hungary declared war on Serbia on the 28th of July, 1914. The echoes of that declaration reverberated across the globe, reaching the ears of Russia, Serbia's ally. It vowed to protect Serbia and began mobilizing its forces. The world watched, held its breath and braced for the inevitable. The fuse had been lit and the world was on the brink of chaos. As the saying goes, when one domino falls, the rest follow. Let's take a step back and look at Austria-Hungary. They were not exactly thrilled about the assassination of their Archduke, to put it mildly. So they pointed fingers at Serbia, accusing them of orchestrating this heinous act. They sent a list of demands to Serbia, who, trying to avoid conflict, accepted most of them. But it seems Austria-Hungary was not in a forgiving mood. On the 28th of July, exactly a month after the assassination, they declared war on Serbia. Now here's where it gets interesting. You see, Serbia had a big brother, a protector of sorts, in the form of Russia. Russia, upon hearing of Austria-Hungary's declaration of war, decided to flex its military muscles. On the 29th of July, they began mobilizing their forces, ready to step in and protect their Slavic brethren. But wait, there's more. Germany, who had been in a treaty with Austria-Hungary, saw Russia's mobilization as a threat. So, on the 1st of August, Germany declared war on Russia. It's like a high-stakes game of chess, isn't it? But instead of pawns and knights, we're talking about nations and armies. Now, you might be wondering, what does France have to do with this? Well, France was an ally of Russia, and so, on the 3rd of August, Germany, not wanting to take any chances, declared war on France too. It's like a chain reaction, isn't it? One action leading to another, each event linked, causing a ripple effect. And so the world found itself in the throes of war. As the alliances formed and the declarations of war were made, the world braced itself for the inevitable. The dominoes had begun to fall, and the world found itself on the brink of a conflict like no other. Germany, feeling the pressure of Russia's mobilization, declared war on Russia's ally France on the 3rd day of August. The German military strategists, adhering to the Schlieffen Plan, decided to strike France by invading neutral Belgium. Now you might ask, why Belgium? Well, Belgium offered a strategic advantage, a sort of shortcut to France, if you will. And so the German troops marched into Belgium, their eyes set on France. But Belgium was not just any country. It was under the protection of Britain as per the Treaty of London, signed in the year 1839. The violation of Belgium's neutrality was a step too far for Britain. On the 4th day of August, Britain declared war on Germany, marking its entry into the fray. The world watched, its breath collectively held, as the major powers of Europe were drawn into the vortex of war. But the conflict was not confined to Europe, far from it. The Ottoman Empire, aligning itself with the Central Powers, entered the war in November. And then Japan, seizing the opportunity to expand its influence in the Pacific and Asia, declared war on Germany later that same month. The stage was set, the players were in place, the guns were loaded, and the world, once a stage for diplomacy and alliances, was now a battlefield. Countries thousands of miles apart, with different cultures, languages and histories, were drawn into the maelstrom. The assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand, a single event in a distant corner of Europe, had triggered a chain reaction that engulfed the entire world. And thus the single event of an assassination had spiraled into a full-blown world war. The world would never be the same again. So what can we learn from this sequence of events that changed the world as we knew it? Let's take a step back and consider this. The assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand was, in essence, the spark that ignited the greatest conflict the world had ever seen. But it was more than that. It was a testament to the profound impact that a single action by a single individual can have on the course of history. The actions of Gavrilo Princip, a young man barely out of his teens, set in motion a chain reaction that would ultimately lead to the outbreak of World War I. This was no ordinary war. This was a war that would draw in nations from every corner of the globe, a war that would claim the lives of more than 17 million people, a war that would forever alter the geopolitical landscape. But it all started with one man, one gun, and one fateful shot. The impact of this singular event rippled outwards like a stone thrown into a pond, touching Austria, Serbia, Russia, Germany, France, and beyond. It was the proverbial butterfly effect, a small occurrence leading to monumental consequences. And it was not just the political and geographical consequences that were significant. This event also had profound social and cultural implications. It marked the end of an era, the twilight of empires and the dawn of a new age. It changed perceptions of war, of nationalism, of what it meant to be a global citizen. The assassination of Franz Ferdinand was a pivotal moment in time, a moment when the actions of one individual reverberated around the world, setting the stage for a conflict of unprecedented scale and ferocity. Indeed, the shot that killed Archduke Franz Ferdinand was not just a bullet, but a trigger for a series of events that would forever alter the course of world history and serves as a critical reminder that the past was the worst.